Now, we all know that we're going to need that kind of energy and that kind of commitment because we face very serious challenges ahead as we look forward to the next 25 years. Because even though in California we've gone through a demographic sea change, we know that power and policy have not yet similarly changed. In 1999, communities of color became the majority in the state of California. And that's only going to become more so. 70% of Californians under the age of 18 are kids of color. And we also know that this same thing is going to happen across the country, where racial and ethnic minorities will become the majority over the next 35 years. But even though our state's population has changed, California is still 45th of 50 states in terms of income inequality. And racial disparities in this state remain acute by so many measures, and it's unacceptable. But we do have real glimmers of hope. Last November, California bucked the national trend. We elected innovative leaders, people of color, like Kamala Harris, like Oakland's Mayor Gene Kwan, Das Williams, who's a community organizer we got to know working at Cause, and he's now in the State Assembly. But this is just a beginning. What's clear is that in this room, we have a very solid majority of the state. We're communities of color. We're LGBT. We represent low-income families, labor, progressives. What's not yet clear is whether we will mobilize collectively and sufficiently to move a proactive policy agenda in a systematic way. This is going to be a complex and difficult task, and we know it's going to take time. So much remains to be done. For Rosenberg, our mission is singularly focused on making sure that the most disenfranchised communities in California are no longer left out. So today we're working in 4 priority areas: the fight for farm worker justice, full integration and equal rights for immigrant families, reforming the state's prison system, which is rife with racial disparity and is collapsing under its own weight, and building a more powerful civil rights infrastructure across the state. We know that to win on these issues is going to require new ways of working in coalition together. Coalitions like a new initiative I'm very excited about that was launched last year in 4 California counties where the population is changing very rapidly: Orange, San Diego, San Bernardino, and Riverside. They've seen huge influxes of immigrants, younger people, LGBT people, and it's really changing the dynamic. Ira Hirschfield is here and Kathy Cha. They've been great leaders on this. And a coalition of funders has come together that's investing in civic participation and a new infrastructure on the ground that is bringing together folks who came from a diversity of communities and causes, but now they're working in true partnership. So the challenge and opportunity for philanthropy and advocacy in this state is to catalyze that kind of change, to go beyond a diverse set of progressive causes and build one progressive movement, to turn this talk that we talk about intersectionality into concrete new ways of working together and new ways of working with others. As the Attorney General mentioned, we have here in this room and in California, we're very fortunate to have folks who might otherwise have been unlikely allies, but they really have joined in this cause to build a better California. Folks from law enforcement, from the business sector, from the faith community, and other sectors. We have the numbers throughout the state, and we have the capacity in this very room to build those coalitions. And I believe that while we do that, we can fully engage our communities to further what Dr. Cornel West has called a radically inclusive democracy. But to succeed, we have got to refuse to continue to allow the balkanization of our cause or our consciousness, and make clear also that this work is not to be diminished as just another matter of competing political agendas, because the work of justice and equality is our common agenda. It's California's agenda, it's America's agenda, it's nothing less than the agenda. So today, as we celebrate our common history, let's also join in common cause and let's make history. Real progress is within our reach. So by the time we celebrate our 80th anniversary in 5 years, let's resolve now that the DREAM Act will no longer be a dream. that no child will be working in California's fields. That as our state rebuilds and creates virtual economic superhighways to new jobs, we in this room will insist on commuter lanes for families that have been chronically unemployed and marginalized. That in just 5 years, California will no longer be home to the world's largest women's prison system. Our women's prison system is filled with women who have never been convicted of a serious or violent crime. Let's be back here in 5 years having shuttered the doors of Chowchilla's Valley State Prison. And let's make a second chance mean just that. Let's ban that box on employment applications that continues to discriminate against the formerly incarcerated. And let's also resolve, Esta Solar, that in 5 years we will have created a web of support for children exposed to violence. They suffer from PTSD just like soldiers coming home from the war. And finally, let's resolve that in California, working together as one community, let's resolve that in 5 years, I will be able to marry this man I love, my partner. I have no doubt about what this room is capable of doing. I have no doubt that we will start a tide and a current that will be felt across the country and that cannot be undone. I'll end by just remembering a quote. I was had been at Rosenberg for about a month, and I was visiting one of our grantee partners. I walked into the office and found a quote on the wall, and it's really stuck with me and driven me since. It was from Cesar Chavez, and he said, "Once social change begins, it cannot be reversed, because you cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride. You cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore. We have seen the future, and that future is ours." Thank you.